let's
Yeah,
segue into your military career. Tell us more about that. When did you join the Army?
sure. So I joined the Army in 2010. So I graduated high school in '06. I had actually talked to a Marine recruiter in high school, but I was kind of on the fence. Do I join now? Do I go to college?
Mhm.
Thought, well, the military is always going to be there. It's going to be harder to go back to school later. So let's
Yeah.
just knock that out and then join the military. So throughout college, I did a little bit more research, decided on the Army versus the Marine Corps.
Mhm.
Um, and I left for basic training I think it was like 2 weeks after I graduated college. And I went into a program called the 18 X-ray program, trying to go the special forces, the Green Beret route.
Oh, cool.
Um, and so to do that, you have to be on the enlisted side. So I wasn't an officer, went in on the enlisted side. Um, when I went through the special forces assessment and selection program, I ended up injuring my knee about 2/3 of the way through. And so couldn't complete the selection,
Mhm.
got dropped. When you get dropped, you revert to infantry, becomes your job title. And so I
Oh.
got sent to the 101st Airborne down at Fort Campbell, Kentucky. And I spent the next 4 out of my 5 years in that unit. So
Oh, cool.
in the middle of that, I went to Afghanistan. And basically, as soon as I got there, I tried out for what they call the scout platoon, got picked up for that, got picked up for the sniper section. And so basically, my entire 4 years there was serving as a sniper in
Oh,
the
wow.
101st.
That's
Yeah.
that's pretty incredible. That takes a special skill set too, doesn't it? That's not just
Yeah, they definitely screen for some different things.
Mhm.
Shooting's not one of them. It's yeah, obviously you have to figure that out later, but the shooting part's
Sure.
pretty easy. They screen you for some physical ability. You have to carry
Okay.
heavy stuff long distances, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
They screen you for just not quitting in those situations. They also screen for maturity. you
Yeah.
know so a sniper, theoretically, you could be out on your own having to make the decision whether to take a shot or not, and they
Wow.
want to know that you're mature enough to be able to make that call without somebody higher up the food chain than you giving you guidance. And so that's
So
where, being a little bit older, being
yeah.
22 helped out on that front.
So it's almost kind of an entrepreneurial role in itself.
Yeah, kind
Thinking
of.
about
So
that,
you've
yeah.
got, yeah. So, got an infantry battalion that might
Mhm.
have anywhere from 700 to 1,000 people. And most of those are infantry, right? They're,
Mhm.
your traditional infantry type roles. And out of that 1,000 people, the scout platoon is about 30 people.
Okay.
And that's split up into a recon element, a reconnaissance element, and a sniper element. And so the recon teams are supposed to be, little 6-man teams that go out on their own and gather information to give the commander more information to make decisions. The
Mhm.
snipers are supposed to do the same thing, but be able to touch people from really far away on top
Yeah.
of it. But a lot of it's reconnaissance, a lot of it's data gathering, and so you really are kind of your own little thing in the middle of a much larger group.
Yeah.
But you've got your own objectives, you got your own training, and on the entrepreneurship front, we had to have unique gear, and we didn't
Mhm.
have the unique gear. So like one of the things I did on the entrepreneurship front is I fronted the money and I bought a mini fridge off of Craigslist or something and a Costco membership. And I created a little mini concession stand within our office to sell monsters and stuff like that to other soldiers. And so I used the profits from that to first pay myself back for the membership and
Right.
the drinks and the mini fridge, and then the rest of it I turned into a unit fund where we could buy sniper gear,
Oh, that's
that
cool.
the unit wasn't going to fund.
Oh,
So
that's hilarious. That is so funny. So you guys would then kit out yourselves essentially. You wouldn't have
a
to
lot of it,
take,
yeah.
the gear that they provided.
Yeah, a lot of it we had to either buy ourselves or we had to find someone to buy it for us. So, for example, one of the guys in our unit, his family's church in Texas took up an offering, and they bought us all our Everly stock bags that we carried all deployment, where we could put our rifles and everything. So,
That's awesome. Yeah. Those Everly stock bags are nice. I've got one for,
yeah,
camping and whatnot, and they are nice bags. Yeah.
yep.
So, tell us, a little bit more about your experience as a sniper. Any stories you'd like to share or can share? I guess what because do you have a scout with you as well, or is it just you when you're going out on?
So there's kind of like the doctrine, and then
Mhm.
there's like reality.
Okay.
So we would train a lot of different scenarios. In reality, what it looked like when we went to Afghanistan is they split us all up. First of all, so I was a team leader at that point. I was a sniper team leader, which meant that it was me and one other guy out there, and we were attached to a regular infantry company that was in charge of the Pesh River Valley. So if you've seen like the movie Restrepo or some of those Lone Survivor,
Yeah. Mhm.
all of those valleys feed into the Pesh River Valley.
Oh,
And
wow.
so the US used to have a bunch of bases up that valley. By the time we got there in 2012, they were all shut down except for one, and that was us. We were in charge of the whole valley. So
What were
we
the
would go
reasons they were
out.
shut down?
We shut them down. Well, we shut them down in that we pulled the U.S. forces out and handed those
Okay.
bases over to the Afghan National Army.
Gotcha. Okay.
So our role was to go out, visit those outposts, go with them on missions, advise them, that kind of thing. And so, as a sniper team, we went out on all of that to provide security. There's a lot of instances where when the Afghan National Army would do a mission, we wanted them to have the confidence that they were doing this on their own.
Mhm.
And so we didn't want to drop bombs or make a big show of our support. And so a lot of times we would have our aircraft staying outside of earshot, but a suppressed sniper round, who's to say where that came from, right? So a lot of times we were the only ones that were really allowed
Really?
to engage. Yeah.
Wow.
But it's Afghanistan, so things are super far away. It's
Mhm.
not like if you've ever read like Chris Kyle's book American Sniper, his
Mhm.
average shot was like 600 meters.
Okay.
My closest shot was 1,400 meters. Um,
Really?
yeah, so a lot of long range
Mhm.
engagements, number of good firefights, but it wasn't as hectic as it was in the years past.
Mhm.
So it was good. We did 9 months. The dude that was on my sniper team with me wore a GoPro on his helmet. And so if you ever go on YouTube and look up a video, it's called Cobra 2, which was the name of our sniper team. It's out there
Okay.
somewhere.
I'll have to
If
check
you're ever
that out.
bored.
Yeah, that's cool. Would you ever change your experience in the military?
No. For the time I was in, no. If I was gonna make it a career, and by the
Mhm.
way, before I joined, I promised my wife I was only gonna do 5 years. So that was the plan from day one, was five
Mhm.
years and done. If I was gonna do 20, I probably would have gone back to that special forces assessment and selection. But once I actually got into that pipeline and talked to the guys that were in it, I
Mhm.
realized you can't you can't do that in 5 years.
Yeah.
It's a longer time commitment, and so
Mhm.
so I chose not to go back and try it again when I healed up, when my knee
Yeah.
healed up. But that's probably the route I would have tried to go if I was in longer term.
What was the motivation behind joining the military for you?
Well, in college, I paid my own way through college,
Okay.
so I stacked all my classes on 2 days a week, and the other 5 days of the week I worked between two jobs.
Mhm.
And so one of those jobs was Sam's Club. I was a cashier,
Okay.
and I talked to. They had like 100,000 members at the Sam's Club I worked at, and I talked to all of them all day long, and they all seemed miserable. Everyone I talked to seemed miserable, whether they were a doctor or whether they worked at, whether they're paying with food stamps. They all seemed miserable. The only people that didn't seem miserable were the ones that really enjoyed what they did. And
Mhm.
again, it didn't really matter like the pay necessarily. It's just did they really seem like they enjoyed whatever they did. And
Interesting.
so at the time, for a brief period of time, I was pre med, and I kind of took a look at that, and I was like, I really don't care. If I'm really being honest, I just want the money that comes with
Yeah.
being a doctor. I don't really. It's not my passion. That's not. It's just not me. If I really did want to go for something that just was passion based, what would that be? And that for me, that was the military. So I decided to kind of limit the commitment to 5 years. And again, my wife wasn't super thrilled about you know
Yeah.
that whole decision, but that was ultimately what drove me to it.
Wow. That's cool. That I think that an important thing to elaborate on here was the fact that you said that didn't matter the pay that people were making. It mattered if they were enjoying what they were doing or not. Because I
Yeah.
think, I spent time in in sales for many years and grew my career there, was making good money, and no matter how much money I would make, I never felt fulfilled. I never felt like I was doing what I needed to be doing. And yeah, I think that's something very important for people to focus on is do what you're called to do. Do what you desire to do, because that is ultimately that's what's going to be fulfilling for you.
Yeah, and you'll be the best at it.